once you walk into the analog realm, you know, in order to compete with plugins, you have to. It's no small investment really, and not money really, time as well. You know, it's just kind of keeping the distortion to a minimum is what people used to spend their whole lives doing. You know, and nowadays that's kind of been forgotten. You know, so we've taken a step back in time into the world of keeping distortion to a minimum. Since we got the Duality, the way of working completely changed, really. Yeah, I mean, I was probably one of the first people in the charts, really, to be totally in the box. You know, my first album was completely done in Logic. Well, I mean, they were all really done completely in Logic, and you know, that was kind of like 2001, you know, 2002. So I've kind of done things in the reverse, really. Whereas now you know, it's just more and more, even kind of like top end producers now are kind of starting to see a few people doing that in the box. And I've kind of gone the opposite way, and I've kind of gone completely almost out of the box. Once you kind of take that step and go out the box, in order to compete with the clarity of plugins, you know, the kind of the low distortion element side of plugins, you have to kind of go big or not at all, really, you know. So it's been quite accelerated, really. The kind of the expansion into the analog realm, you know, that me and my engineer have made. I mean, I don't think anyone would disagree that the way of working with a console is just a million times faster and more human. But what's more liberating for me is that stuff just sounds right, you know. I mean, I really can mix a track in a day and not want to change it, and that never happened in the box with me. You know, stuff took weeks and weeks to mix in the box because it never quite sounded like it had been mixed on an SSL, you know. With a desk, you can do more than one thing at one time. That's the answer, really. Is that in a computer you can only do one thing at a time, and on a desk what you find is that you're doing everything at the same time. You know, well, on this one 24, but obviously the sky's the limit, really. If you've you know, if you're a real Duality user, you know. But you know, I don't, you know, it's not, I don't do like orchestral stuff, and actually my music is very minimal, so I actually I would certainly never need more than 48, but actually 24 is kind of fine, really, you know. And we use all the delay returns as extra summing, you know, which is great. For me, the analog, it's all about the sound to me, you know. And I didn't actually get this desk as a workflow kind of aid, really. But as soon as we got it, it was just like, why did I not consider that, you know? Why did I not consider that sitting in front of a computer with a mouse is just very mentally draining, you know. And you know, we use the flip as well, you know, with the you know, use that a lot as well, because that's you don't get that on a G series, you know. No. And that, I mean, you know, it's like a Mackie on steroids, really, you know. I've had the Mackie stuff, and it just works better, you know. I always use all the channels, you know. Yeah. And in terms of vocals, we we put the vocals to stereo, you know, and so you know that helps. And I'm sure there's a lot of purists out there that would say that you should really have the vocals, you know, on a separate, you know, summing. But we've just got a really good system, you know, and everything is always in the same place as well. I'm a bit of a stickler for, like, you know, fader 1 is always the kick drum, fader 2 is usually the snare drum, and then you know, so generally you've got the first kind of 6 to 8 will be drums, and then these ones here are used as stereo, you know, guitars, keyboards, bass, and then the vocals, you know, here, and I've got extra summing. I've got the Chandler summing as well, which is, you know, which is a bit more kind of transistory type stuff. Yeah, and I don't, you know, I if I'm gonna do, you know, if I'm gonna use outboard, I wouldn't have that on a recall, you know. I would just bounce it into the, you know, bounce it back in. So the recall is just the duality, yeah. You know, and any outboard that I've used, I mean, we pretty much just at the time, you know, we set up the outboard for whatever it is, and then you just bounce it straight back in, you know, and then if and again, you know, if you're using really high quality analog gear, 9 times out of 10 you'll never need to change it.